Forced to smell dog breath. Because if we have to deal with the filth from your mouth, then you have to deal with the filth from its mouth. I got this on numerous occasions. It sounds silly at first, but it was anything but at the time. I begged them to give me anything but that.
Like for swearing?
No, for saying he is a Patriots fan.
My parents would scrub my teeth with a dry bar of soap for swearing, but I think that's a pretty common one. Keep calling my parents abusive, lol, you all are clowns. My parents are still together, never once saw them fight, were there for me every single day of my coma, after which they helped every single day learning how to be a paraplegic. I'm 24, they washed my mouth out maybe twice. Calm down, Reddit cops.
Shit, my mum just used to shove the whole damn bar in there after lathering it up in the sink. It would normally be paired with a few lashes of a belt or swats with a paint-stirring stick. We have a tenuous relationship, at best.
My parents routinely took away my library card when I did something worth punishing. So I memorized it. When they caught on, they refused to go to the library with me for the duration of my punishment. So I started volunteering at the library once a week, so they had to take me.
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
I was deathly afraid of my basement, and the threat for not adhering to lights out time was being forced to sleep in the basement for the night. Anyway, I forget what I was doing, but I was up to no good one night, probably reading comic books with a flashlight or something. I got sent to sleep in the basement and was pretty much up all night being super scared. It was threatened a lot, but I think it only actually happened once.
I was a smart-ass kid. My aunt tried once to threaten me that the boogeyman will take me to the basement if I don't behave and eat me.
Can you hear him roar?
Auntie, you know better, that's the boiler. She said I was super condescending and that made her quit. Then one day she broke a wooden spoon whipping my ass, and I still tense up hearing the drawer clang open to this day.
When I was 10, Mom would take my NES games for a week. When I was 13, Mom would take my SNES games for a week. When I was 16, Mom would take my blank floppy disks for a week. I didn't explain the mistake to her until I moved out.
All I can imagine is just a drawer full of floppy disks with names on them which are all blank, and an old cardboard box of numbered floppy disks with stuff on them.
My mom always told me I would end up in prison. As punishment, she would make me sit in time out under an office desk with a slat back chair turned upside down on top so the back covered the opening like bars. Come dinner time, she fed me hard rolls and water because that's what they serve in prison. I found out years later, while not good food, prison food is much better than hard rolls and water.
For some reason my parents allowed my brother and I to have a very basic bow and arrow which we were allowed to shoot at a cardboard box in the backyard. I, being very young and very dumb, crawled into the box while my brother was firing. Parents were not pleased, and to demonstrate how dangerous what I had done was, they made me lay on the couch for the whole day and pretend I was in a hospital bed.
I mean, if you were an active kid and weren't allowed to move or play with toys, boring TV and bland food. I can see that as a punishment. Still weird though.
I would get grounded to the front porch because when I was grounded in my room I would entertain myself with literally anything, even lint from the carpet. So my dad finally had enough and made me sit on the front porch, and I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone except to say that I am grounded and can't talk.
Random stranger walks by. Hi, I'm grounded. My dad said I can't talk to you.
Hi grounded, I'm dad.
Rips off mask. This was a test, son. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you, I am dad.
My mom was pretty old school, so she wasn't against spanking, which was my usual punishment. Strangest was when I made fun of my sister for wetting the bed, calling her a baby and stuff. My mom wasn't happy because I was making her cry and setting her back. So as a punishment she made me wear a pull-up whenever my sister had to. A lot to unpack there.
That's what my therapist said too.
Does the good doctor know of your username?
Me and my sister were fighting after I tried to steal some of her chili fries and she stabbed me with a fork. Dad took us out back and tied us up face to face with a rope. Told us, when you figure out how to work together you will be able to get out.
Did you work together and get out?
After we stopped spitting on each other, yes.
Are you two, in fact, llamas?
The buck rag, still have nightmares. For those who don't know, a buck rag is a rag that's been rubbed all over a sweaty, oily, piss-soaked billy goat in rut, and is often used for goat breeding purposes. In our Alabama town, it became popular for parents to use these to punish children. Goat farmers would even sell the rags for the purpose. Basically, the teenager would be taken outside, and the parents would remove the buck rag from the jar, drape it over the kid's face, and tie a knot in the back. Plenty of room to breathe, no room to avoid the smell. I never saw why everyone feared it so much until my parents gave it to me one night for sneaking around with my boyfriend at night. I puked. A lot.
This is like redneck waterboarding.
My parents said I was playing too much Skyrim when it came out, so they took the router with them to work every day. Good thing you don't need internet to play an offline single-player game.
LMAO, my parents definitely did not understand technology and they'd do stuff like this but even less effective. Like they'd turn the screen off and assume that meant the entire machine was shut down and everything was lost. Or like everything was plugged into a power strip so they'd take the power strip away but all the plugs and outlets were still right there. One time my mom kept holding the off button down, but I was sitting there on the screen with the mouse and keyboard and a window would pop up asking whether I actually wanted to turn the computer off, so I just kept clicking no, leave the computer on. She could not for the life of her understand why it didn't work.
I was always more the artist type. Didn't much care for throwing the football around or working on cars. I wasn't belittled or anything, my family let me do me. But my stepfather was an evil genius, and when I did something that was considered a minor infraction he'd give me the option of either going to bed early or staying up till my normal bedtime but having to watch sports with him in the living room. And I couldn't just zone out or read. He'd sit there and make chit-chat about the game or try explaining the rules or the player's stats or something else I couldn't have cared less about. I'm 34 and we still laugh about that sometimes. Shit was brutal. To be fair, your stepdad probably wanted to spend time with you doing something he liked as well. If my son ends up not liking sports, not gonna lie, it would be really sad for me. Yeah, I will accept whatever he likes, but right now I do have hope of watching sports with him and getting happy, exited etc. when something happens.
One time I forged my mum's signature on a school discipline warning thing. She made me write my own signature 500 times so I wouldn't write the wrong name again.
I forged my mother's signature all the time in high school, mostly for syllabuses, field trips, missing assignment reports. I had 50 missing assignments in one class. I got a B in it though. I got caught only once. I was lazy with the signature, I didn't think too much of it, but my twin brother was in the same class and he had someone with good handwriting sign it. Well, the teacher noticed they were different. That's how my mom found out I've been forging her signature for years.
They were mad I was playing too many video games. Civilization, Master of Orion 2, World of Warcraft I, Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, Tactics, Ogre Battle, Urquan Masters. Okay, so I played lots of games, so they made me go out with friends more. Now keep in mind, I did have friends and was social and would go out once or twice a week with them, but any video games were bad. So my parents forced me to go hang out in my buddy's garage where they just drank and smoked up at 13 years old. A couple of them ended up getting into some serious drugs by around 16, and my parents still were forcing me to go hang out with them, because their parents were good people that will sort him out. Well, they never did. I always thought it was funny that they considered cerebral strategy games more damaging to my development than hanging out with 13 to 16-year-old drunks.
That's freaking stupid. I actually give credit to video games for me not getting into so much trouble as a teenager. My old friends from elementary school weren't as into video games as I was, so by middle and high school we had drifted apart. They got into trouble with cops on a regular basis. World of Warcraft, which was mainly what I played at the time, only kept me from sometimes not getting my homework done.
When I was 6, I did something stupid that angered my dad and I wasn't allowed to mention anything related to Pokemon for a month.